People sometimes ask me what are some of the experiences I've had working with other emotional freedom techniques practitioners, right? Other EFT tapping practitioners, because I got into EFT because it worked for me, among other things, right? Among wanting people to be empowered. And there was an area of clarity that even though I've been doing healing work for 20 years and I've been seeing practitioners for 20 years, really wasn't very clear for me. And it was this interesting compulsion that I think a lot of people struggle with around drinking. And one thing that I realized is that as I worked with my emotional freedom techniques practitioner, like I'm not an alcoholic, like I never had a problem like stopping drinking per se, but there was always this idea that's so pervasive in our culture anyway, is that we have to be drinking to have fun, right? Or that it's important to be drinking alcohol in order to have fun or to be whatever. And what I realized for me is as I was trying to break this belief of like, why do I feel like this is so important for me, is it actually went all the way back to when I was 7 years old. And we were up at the family cabin. And what would happen is my grandparents and my parents, we'd all go out to the bar, they'd drink. My sister and I would get money and we'd go play Pac-Man and we'd get money for Skittles and we'd get kitty cocktails, right? And so when my parents and my grandparents were drinking, we got all this special stuff and we get attention from people at the local bar because everyone knew us. And so we were included, right? And we were included, we were special, we got things. And then we'd go home and we'd have a fun time and everyone was laughing and joking around. And then the next day, my sister and I would get shoved outside to play by ourselves, right? And so the idea that got involved in my brain was that if we're not drinking, right, or if people aren't drinking, then we're alone, we're isolated, things are boring, and people are grumpy because I didn't understand hangovers back then. So what's really interesting is once I worked with that with my emotional freedom techniques practitioner, like all my desire to actually go out and have a beer with friends shifted. Where I still wanted to go out to friends, but I could make a choice now whether or not I wanted a beer or whether or not I wanted a glass of wine. It wasn't like this automatic, like, well, I'm out, I should have, because this is how we have fun, right? It actually rewired my brain to be out and not have to think about, well, I don't really want to drink tonight. Do I want, right? That whole argument inside my own head just went away. And it just became natural and free and easy. And sometimes I have a glass of wine and sometimes I don't. And I don't feel attached emotionally to either direction or to what people think about me when I choose to drink or when I choose not to drink. So that's one way that I think emotional freedom techniques has really helped me as an individual, is find some of those really deep messages that weren't even messages, but that were just circumstances in my life that informed how I interacted with the world for the rest of my life.